Hi there, this is Amy. I'm back again to show you another glass painting pattern. This is just an easy 5-petal flower, and I am starting off using wicker white and cayman blue. Alright, here we go. Alright, basically you just tip it down, press your brush flat, and raise back up. If you feel like it's not opaque enough for you, just go back over it again. Now this one I ended up getting too much paint on the edges, but see how you can just keep going back, making it a little bit more opaque if you want it to be. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the next petal and turn my glass to throw on the next petal. And like I said, the one thing I like about this is that you can keep going over it a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't rework it too much, but you can go ahead and paint over it if you need to correct something or fill a spot in. That's okay. Or like I said, if you want to make it more opaque, that's fine too. And this is a Martini glass, obviously. And I'm painting on tonight instead of a wine glass. Just trying to do demos on any extra glassware I have laying around. Alright, and then we're going to just keep adding flowers. Might do a couple, just trying to think what else we could add here. So it's not doing like exactly the same flower, one flower at a time. And maybe just doing more of a closed flower instead of a completely open one. And then you can just come back in here. I'm going to go ahead and put more paint on my brush. Now some people will say, oh, you don't have to load your brush all the time. I just like to have a thicker brush of paint. So that very well might be true, but for me, it's just a matter of how you like to paint. Like I said, I'm just not a stickler on people having to do things exactly like somebody else. You know, just use your own mind. Be creative. And you just might want to add some trailing flowers. And then just kind of take your brush and mainly this go to the side here with it. It's a flat brush, so just push and drag. And then you kind of have a trail of flowers. I mean, you can do it differently. Like I said, this is just a quick demo for you. If you don't like the way these look, then just go back over them. Or if you really don't like the way they look, wash them off. Again, when you're painting glass, just keep in mind that you do need to clean the glass before you actually paint on it. Whether you're washing it or you're actually using rubbing alcohol, denatured rubbing alcohol on them to clean off just the grime and any kind of oil that might be on it from being handled. When you're baking, also keep in mind that you need to place your glassware, no matter if you're using a high-end piece of glass or a dollar store piece of glass. Stick it in the oven cold. Then add your baking time to that. I mean, that's a must. The reason why glass will break is the sudden change in temperature. If you're not giving it an opportunity to adjust gradually to the change, you're going to have breakage. And the same goes when it's done baking. Just make sure you allow it time to dry, or not dry, but time to cool off before you pull it out. You'll have much more success with that if you abide by those rules. Much more success. I've been doing this for a very long time and haven't had, knock on wood, any type of breakage at all. Now a lot of times when I'm doing flowers like this, I might just turn around. A lot of times I'll do my main flower and I'll do stuff on both sides of it, but kind of maybe even make it trail out a little bit with just a couple little buds here. And I apologize, I have a cat right now trying to get my attention, so if he happens to jump in my paint, you might hear me scream. Not sure exactly why he's wanting that attention right now, but he is. Alright, so that's it for the flower part. Now I'm going to go back and add some greenery to it. For this I'm using my thicket and my moss green, or forest moss I think it's called. Like I said in a past video, I used to use white with the green. I prefer the darker green. Some of the others are too light and too bright for me. And white. And then when I started taking classes, they were doing the thicket with the sunflower yellow. And that just wasn't my cup of tea. Now when I'm going to add these, I'm just going to treat these as if they're like just little buds, and just I like to use the flat brush, but just do a little, dip your brush, and then I like to put like a little bit of a stem. Hopefully you can see this. Just very simplistic. Leading from that flower, and then on some of the trailers, I mean, you can add, maybe we'll come in here in a little bit and add some just a little bit of greenery to them, just to make them feel more finished, I would say. You don't necessarily have to. Sometimes you can just dot them if you're gonna, because I'm going to actually come back and add a dot to the middle of the flower. But I think this kind of gives it a nice look, more of a finished look, adding some greenery to it, because typically they probably would have some kind of leaf or green around it. But it's definitely not a must-have. It's more of a if you wanna. Alright, go ahead and do that to this one here. And if you want, you might want to give this a little bit more time to dry in between adding all the greenery to it, but for the purpose of the video, I'm just trying to keep it quick and to the point. Like I said, I apologize if you're not able to see all this, because I am trying very hard to keep it turned for you to be able to see what it is I'm doing. I'm working on doing my videos, trying to improve. Now when you come back in, you can just do a simple, touch and wiggle kind of leaf. There's such a variety of leaves that you can use. This is one of my favorite ones. Just kind of All right. And then, I'm trying to think which way I want to go with this. I mean, if you want to add more out to the side here, you can. Let me do, because I want to put some, I'm trying to think which way I want to go with this. I haven't painted this design for quite some time, so bear with me on that. One thing I do like about painting glassware is that you can turn the cups, glass, plate, whatever it is you're painting, and makes it so much easier to work, as opposed to when you're painting on a wall, you pretty much have to go with the direction you're standing, or on a ladder or a floor or whatnot. You don't really have a whole lot of choice in the matter. And it's okay to touch the flower on the other side. Now too, when you're painting, if you want to do a base coat of something, I've shown you some of the sparkle paints, or just doing a base paint of some sort, or even sporadically doing a base paint, meaning that you are just putting it in certain areas and then painting over the top of it, because that a lot of times too will give it more of an opaque look. Because right now, as you can see, this is not coming across being very opaque, and I'm not sure if it's the lighting that I'm using right now for the purpose of the video, or if it's just how it's going to turn out. But I just like to just start placing any of the leaves just wherever I think they look nice. And then if I feel like it needs to be filled in more, I just go back around and do it again. Or just keep adding until I feel like, you know, I've got enough as far as the floral or the leaf part. I can be kind of heavy-handed with leaves, so I apologize if that's maybe not your liking, but for some reason I have a tendency to do that, even when I do murals. I have a tendency to do that, so. Get some of this paint off my brush. I feel like it's getting too full of paint for me. And you can mix or match different types of leaves too. You don't have to use the same type of leaf all the way around. Again, just for the purpose of this video, I'm just trying to do it very quickly so it's not a 12-hour video. And these are more of like the basic one-stroke little leaves that I'm kind of putting on here now. Kind of filler leaves, and you also can just do light shadow leaves. And meaning that they're just a light mixture of paint, maybe with a medium mixed in, so they're kind of watered down, and then give some background leaves based on you know, some like I said, adding the shadows, maybe even in a different color. Do your leaves in a lighter color, or and then add the shadowy kind of leaves in as maybe the darker shade, just the one shade but thinned out. That can give it a nice look as well. Now with these little ones here, I might just want to go ahead and add go ahead and do some trailing leaves with them, just because of the way they are. And I like to paint over the top of the flowers and maybe some of the other leaves, just to make it more realistic. I mean, when you have a flower, it isn't going to be perfect. I mean, it might be perfect, but it's not going to be where it doesn't have a leaf or, you know, another flower in front of it, that kind of thing. So trying to make it a little bit more realistic. And with these leaves, I just pretty much just go like that. Just kind of, for some reason tonight I'm not getting them right on target like I like to. But that's alright. You have those nights. When I've painted like several thousand pieces of glass at a time, I've had times where I just get to a point I've painted and painted and painted something so many flipping times that my hands just won't work. So that's when I know, you know what, it's time to stop. It's time to stop and be done. At least for that night. And like I said, I just, you know, again, I know you guys have heard this enough from me, but I like to be kind of random and placing my flowers or leaves so that it's not necessarily in a certain order or pattern. I mean, it's a pattern, but it's a random one, if that makes sense. I don't like that little smudge there. Alright, and like I said, you know, if you want to add some more color to it, I mean, as far as leaving goes, you know, you could always add more leaves up there, but I'm pretty much just going to leave it the way it is right now. And the last thing I'm going to do is go back through and add some dots. Very simple. Very, very simple. It's just to give it some color. Give it a little accent color. Even though it may not seem like the right place to put them or whatever, it doesn't really matter. I'm just doing it to break it up a little bit and give it some color. That was kind of big. But you get the gist. Like I said, pretty easy. And you can also go back in if you want to do some swirls around to finish it off. The only problem with something like that, I'd be a little hesitant because I think it would come off, would tend to have be easy to scratch off. So I don't know that I would actually do that, but you can. And then as far as the stem goes, I'm just going to leave this one plain. And an idea you could do is just get a round brush, do some green, wrapping it around here and come down, maybe put another bud of some sort for the 5-petal flower down at the bottom. And remember too, when you're doing painted glass, the biggest question is this permanent? Well, for the most part, yeah. But will it come off? Yes. So it depends on how you treat it. If you treat it in a mannerism that you want to keep it for guests and all that type of thing for a long time, then treat it like fine china. That's my best recommendation to you, is treat it like fine china. Meaning that hand wash it. Don't use any abrasive cleaner or pad, scrubber, or anything like that on it. If you decide to put it in the dishwasher, absolutely make sure you put it on the top rack. Putting it on the bottom, I will guarantee the paint will melt off. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to give me comments, ask any questions. I use folk art enamels. That's my primary paint that I use on everything, from glass to wood. I have tried other products, but this seems to be the paint that I come back to. I like the sheen it gives. I like the durability, the way it works. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. Have a nice Labor Day weekend. I'm planning on spending some good quality time with my son and his family and my grandchildren and some other relatives at a amusement park that we have in our state, and looking forward to it. So I hope you have some wonderful plans with your family, friends, and stop back again. Thank you.